Hey everyone, welcome to our second weekly vision update video. We'll be doing this each week on Thursday evenings live, and then you'll be able to watch it throughout the week. And I want to remind you why we're doing this at the Christian Life Center. We got lots of communication going. Want to make sure you're fully apprised and aware of all the happenings at the Christian Life Center. So we got newsletters you can sign up for, quarterly publications. We got announcements on stage. We have social media posts, push paid notifications where we can send it out via the app, all sorts of options. But the majority of that communication is all about what is going on at the Christian Life Center. And it just makes sense that we wouldn't just talk about what's going on, but we would explain to you why it's going on and how you can get involved. So this weekly video, hopefully keep it under 15 minutes, is specifically for that reason. Why are we doing what we're doing, and how can you participate in that? Really, really important. If you look at the scriptures in Ephesians chapter 4, Paul tells us that God gave us the apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. Those are the gifts within the church, leaders, and the gifting throughout the church to equip the saints for the work of ministry. Like, there's work to be done, and so we want to explain to you why we're doing the things we're doing and how you can be equipped and participate in the life of the church. So where this kind of all starts is kind of, hey, I want you to know what our objective is, right? What's the mission behind Christian Life Center? And we go found in the scriptures. We believe it to be evident. In fact, we'll talk about this in a few weeks and a little later in September of where this mission and vision come from in the scriptures. But our mission at the Christian Life Center every single day and every single way is to make it simple for people to connect to Jesus and one another. And by people, we mean you and your neighbors, family, coworkers, all those things. And so the reason we do everything we do at our church, from outdoor services to movie nights to all sorts of different events and groups and all sorts of things, is to make it simple for you to connect to Jesus, and also for you to connect to one another, for us to connect to one another. And so that's kind of the big picture. That's what the mission, and here's what we hope. The kind of, so if mission were that, here's what the vision of our church would be. What is it we're trying to actually accomplish? And here's what it is: to see our church, or the church, at the center of our community, right? Making the kingdom of heaven visible. Why? How? By offering Jesus' grace, hope, peace, comfort, joy, community, salvation, and restoration to all people. And so that doesn't mean our church building. That doesn't mean just a Christian Life Center. We mean we want the church, God's bride, to be at the center of everything going on in the community. And in the past, a lot of that energy has been leveraging our 60 plus acres on Saginaw Road to leverage our space, thousands of square feet, leverage our equipment, all the resources to kind of invite people into kind of the church as the village, right? How do we have events and movie nights and all sorts of stuff at the church? And what we're realizing now is that COVID's changed that a little bit. Our ability to gather has been complicated by disease and ideologies and all sorts of things, right? And so that doesn't mean our missions change. We still want to make it simple for people to connect to Jesus and one another. Doesn't mean our visions change. We still want to see the church be at the center of the community, but not the building, but it's people. And so we're working hard to pivot and continue to do that, specifically in light of what's going on in our world right now. And I'm going to share with you some things that we're doing, while we're doing it, how you can get involved. And so if our mission is make it simple, our vision is to see the church be at the center of the community, right? Then our strategy, the way by which we do that, like the practical steps, is we kind of focus on three things in our church each and every week. One is building excitement. How do we help people get excited about the good news of the gospel? That's open to the Bible, declaring Jesus the hero, and singing and worshiping Jesus as Lord, right? Really, really important there. And so a big portion of what we do is how do we actually get excited about what Jesus is still doing in this world. And a good bit of our energy there has gone to how do we gather together on the weekends for worship, to be excited about it. And the hope is, as a result of being excited, that people will sign up and go, want our foundation to be built on Jesus, want our lives to be built on Jesus. And what we talked about last week in the foundation piece is we are convinced that the next right step, and that is to double down, put up as many resources as we can into helping you and your neighbors, friends, family, coworkers, all of us, to get connected into real, sincere community. So build excitement in order that people get excited about the gospel and go, hey, I'm ready to build my life on this, become like Jesus. And we are convinced that happens not in rows, but in circles and smaller community where three things happen. You're held accountable, not in this like mean dogmatic sense, but that you have friends and family who are going, hey, we have shared objectives. We're trying to become like Jesus, serve like Jesus, know more about Jesus. We're called to do that collectively together, like to stay the course together. So accountability, belonging. We want you to really to feel like you can belong and be known. It's hard to do that in a segregated, even disassociated in many ways world that we live in right now. And so we believe community, both in person and online, is a solution to that. So we want you to feel belonging and care. We want you to be cared for, and we want you to get the opportunity to care for other people. And so we told you last week, I want to remind you now that you can go to their website, click on sign up, and click on the small group form there where you can let yourself be known to our church family and to our staff and to our leaders and our volunteers so that we can and will help you get community. If you don't like filling out online forms, it's really simple. You can text the word JOIN, JOIN, to our church number, 610-869-2140. This is all in the captions of this video. 610-869-2140. Want to join a group, just text the word JOIN. Hey, if you're so bold to consider leading a group right now to create more capacity for more people to be known and loved and feel belonging and care, would you text the word LEAD, L-E-A-D, to the same number, 610-869-2140. So we want to build excitement. People get excited about the gospel. Jesus does that work. And then we want to help people sign up to invest their life in learning about Jesus and becoming like Jesus. And then inevitably what happens as we grow in our faith and our understanding of who Jesus is and what he came to do, inevitably what happens is you can't help but go and serve other people, right? The save people, serve people. It's just how it works. Found people, go and find people. So the third part of our strategy is just to build bridges. And next week, I'll talk to you a whole bunch about some ways that we'll be building bridges, both collectively as an entire congregation and individually how we're going to help resource you that. So tune back in next week. But this week, kind of what I want to focus on for a few minutes is the build excitement piece, right? So for our community, all of our church family, we want you to find community, feel like that is real pressing. But we also want you to know that we are moving forward and declaring the goodness of who Jesus is in as many ways as possible. So what that kind of leads me to discuss is kind of one of the ways we've built excitement for so long is actually inviting you into, church community on the weekends. So we'd have Saturday night services at 5 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 9 and 10:45, and have great kids ministry with our kids ministry staff creating great opportunities and leading great volunteers to serve couple hundred kids in the weekends. And so one of the things that happened in the COVID world, when everything shut down, our church shut down as well, right? And so we've been wrestling through how to re-engage. We've had conversations about it since the beginning of June. We've been back gathering together, and we can thank God for the great weather we've had outdoors in the parking lot with a stage. We've added a screen, but we believe it's time to now re-engage indoors. So not this weekend, but next weekend on September 13th. That's a Saturday. We will be hosting every week. It's just an experiment. We're trying to figure out how to work through it. A 9 a.m. church service indoors, right? You will next week be getting all sorts of information, to frequently asked questions of how you go about that. How do you get access to it? Because we are limiting it. Hear me. This is complicated. For only 100 people the first few weeks to make sure that we have a plan, and then we'll kind of reevaluate if we can put more people in the sanctuary, if it's safe to have more people in there. Should we open up additional rooms, the auditorium, perhaps even New London Presbyterian Church? And so starting on September 13th, we will engage indoors. But hear me, we understand that many of you, in fact, when we surveyed our crowd, our church family, 48% is not interested in coming indoors. No judgment. If you're in kind of green light, ready to engage, we understand and we support you. If you're in yellow, cautious, we understand and we support you. If you're in red and going, nope, you're going to stay home, we support you. And that is actually why we're trying to create an environment where we can go back indoors. Because the idea of going back indoors, we understand can't be for our whole church family right now, right? I told you, 100 people. You'll hear more logistics about how you can sign up. You'll be able to RSVP and get a ticket, and then you'll be able to walk through and put on a mask. You have to wear a mask indoors and participate in the church service. And it'll be limited, but we'll walk through that next week on how you can sign up. And I want you to hear that we are doing this not specifically so that we can all get together, because the reality is we can't all get together. 100 people. That's on a given weekend in January and February, we had 700 to 800 people in our facilities, right? So that's obviously a mere fraction of it. So want you to hear kind of the why behind the reopening. One, we're trying to make sure we can do this as an experiment, trying to figure out how to manage this in this complicated world so we can still gather together. But a big portion of this is we believe being able to invite people back into the church creates a more sincere worship environment for those people who can't participate in person, right? If you're picking up on it and watching the long sermons that I'm preaching, it's a lot of material, very little humor. I am guessing, as it feels this way to me, maybe it feels this way to you, that it's less engaging than in real life. And just be candid with you, I think a good bit of that for me is actually not being able to see people's eyes and hear their response and see when they lean in and connect in a sincere way. And I think for worship, the same thing. Well, our band is incredible and our volunteers there are phenomenal, and what they've been able to pivot and do in the middle of this complicated world is amazing. And yet there's just something about being able to lead people to the feet of Jesus. And so the 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 primary reason right now for engaging back indoors is actually, this is crazy, to be able to film a genuine worship experience in front of a live studio audience, right? And so where we can engage together, but also create a way by which it's more engaging for those of you who are not ready to come back to the church property and you're still participating online, right? This is really, really beautiful, because when you preach inside a church service, you could tell when people get restless, right? I can't see you through a screen, and so an hour in, you're probably pretty restless, and so it'd be nice to have that in front of us. And so starting on September 13th, again, you got to kind of pay attention next week to all of our communication channels as we kind of walk through frequently asked questions, how you can sign up, all those things. But I wanted you to hear the why. We want to gather together, but more than just gather together, we want to be able to create an environment that seems sincere and genuine, because it is sincere and genuine. Now, so big part of this is trying to create an environment on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. so that we can stream that live to our congregation throughout our community and world, and then also be able to restream that again at the 10:45 service and the 5 p.m. service. And one of the things that is changing this, I want you to be aware, is starting September 13th, there will no longer be a Saturday night at 5 p.m. service, because we won't be filming ahead of time. We'll be filming live on Sunday morning. So what we will be doing is offering another worship service at 5 p.m. on Sunday. So new worship hours, not this weekend, starting next weekend on September 13th, 9 o'clock, 10:45, and 5 p.m. all on Sunday, as we create a better environment for us to engage in worship, both gathered in the church building and scattered. So I want to kind of highlight the three options you have. One, you can sign up, RSVP, get your ticket online. You'll get access to that next week. And you can come and participate with us. We will be offering Kids Zone the same way we've been doing it during the sermon. Though kids will get to exit out and go participate in with Kids Zone, but that's still only for elementary and middle school students. Again, you'll see the frequently asked questions and all that documentation and explanation next week. So that will be an option. We get to gather together. Yay, can't wait to see your face, right? And then the second option is you'll also get to scatter into your community, invite people into your own homes and backyard, and participate in worship there. We are still convinced that a large part of what's going on for our communities and our church is to help people engage with their friends and family and neighbors to actually participate in church the way it was in Acts 2, where they met in their homes daily. So one, gather in person. Two, gather online in your homes, neighborhoods, workplaces, all those things. And the third one of the neat things is because we now have this beautiful LED video screen, right? In fact, as you're watching this, we've just finished up serving Lincoln University and their students come back. We couldn't help them move in because of the complications of COVID, but we're able to go and engage with this screen to show a movie over there and love our friends and neighbors and the students at Lincoln University. But we have this 20-foot or 10-foot HD LED screen that we can use in the middle of the day. And so another option that would be just the same as if you're accustomed to it is that you will still be able to come to the church property and worship with your friends, either as a drive-in. You can stay in your car and stay, safe in your own bubble there in your car, or you can pull out a chair, sit and enjoy the worship service there. And here's the neat thing is, if you're indoors, you'll be singing with a mask as part of the the decrees and mandates right now. But outdoors, you can still see exactly what's going on. We'll be on the stage. There'll be a host outside talking to you. And so all sorts of stuff. You'll be able to see what's going on, be from the stage inside, all the beauty of all those things. Someone will be there that you can connect with, and you can still participate live in our worship service. So again, you can gather with us in person. More details about that next week. You can gather in your home. It's going to be a great environment to do that. Or you can just keep showing up and enjoying the parking lot. Now, while I'm talking about the parking lot, got other news for September 13th. Really, really, really important. And I'll talk more about this next week as we think about how we build bridges. One thing we're recognizing is there's all sorts of complications with sports, and some of you aren't watching, some of you are, and I'm not ready quite yet to dive into the political realm of all those things, but will be in October. In fact, September, I believe, is a month of us preparing our church for what God has prepared for us. And starting in October, we will prepare our church and our church family and all of our community in any way they will allow us to speak into it for what I believe will be a really complicated political season filled with vitriol and dissension and discord and lack of discourse, right? And so while we'll still be in the Gospel of Luke, we're going to get through Luke chapter 3 and the next few weeks in September, but we're going to prepare for the month of October to start a new series. We'll still be working through all the verses in Luke, and it's so beautiful that Jesus is establishing his kingdom as Lord and God and Savior and King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And we'll get to work through that together in October. And kind of the sermon series will be still Luke's gospel, still trying through it, but it'll be Jesus for president, right? Help shaping our worldview around there is a king and a Lord, and his name is Jesus. And there's truth and a way and a life, and his name is Jesus. And he sits above the kings and the kingdoms and the presidents. So we're going to turn our focus and attention and our worship and our security back to him. So we'll get to do that in October. And so some of the things coming up in that. So you'll have 3 different options. Go online, come in person, or enjoy the beauty of outdoor services. So that's what we're preparing for. But starting on September 13th, not only going inside, but at 1 o'clock, we will be hosting the Eagles games out in our parking lot, right? So I don't know where you land. You're welcome to have whatever opinion, red, green, yellow, on COVID. Same thing with how you feel about political statements happening in professional sports. This is not an endorsement. This also is this is nothing related to that, but we are trying to figure out a way to love our community. And the reality is very few people now can actually go and engage an in-person live sporting event because of just what's happening in our world. So we want to create an avenue for our church family and our community to get to enjoy sports together. So 1 o'clock is the Eagles game. You can bring your grill. You can literally just grill out, prepare. So go to church at 9, bring your stuff, set up, and you get to watch the game outdoor live on a beautiful HD screen, and you can do it with your community. I'll share more about that next week in the Building Bridges piece. But I want you to hear, starting September 13th, we're pivoting again to go back indoors, and we'll have 3 options for you at 9 o'clock. That's go indoors for 100 people, be limited. You'll learn how to sign up for that next week. Or you can continue to participate in the parking lot at 9, or you can join us online at 9 o'clock, all live around all those things. And then as we move forward, we'll figure out how to use the auditorium or NLPC for more live options for us to gather together at 9 o'clock. And then at 10:45, you can still participate online. And then at 5 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, you'll also be able to participate online. So that's the why and the what we got going on. And so the big piece of this is how can you participate, right? I told you if you're ready to be in a group, here's a number to text. But here's what I'd love for you to consider right now. The reality is, guys, is one of the issues with expanding Kid Zone, if we ever go back to preschool, is actually volunteers. Just to be very candid with most of you, babies and preschool volunteers were mostly over the age of 60. Right, and the age that there's more concern for COVID-related illnesses, right? And so, in order for us to create more capacity to care for more folks, just going to be real honest with you, we need more volunteers, and now is the time to do that. And there's lots of ways by which you can serve. There's kids ministry, right? There's student ministry. There's guest services. We got to help park cars and give communion supplies and help people get checked into the church services, right? And then there's media ministry. There's so much going on with audio and video during the services. And then there's actually online ministry. There's so many different things going on to how we engage with people online. So maybe that's what you got. Or there's so much outreach we need to do actually to our own church community, from writing cards to making phone calls. There are people who don't have access to the internet, who have just been abandoned in this moment. So we want to reach out and care and provide meals and support and just listen. And so lots of different options for you to sign up. And here's what I just want to ask of you. Would you, ready, text the word SERVE, SERVE, to our church number, 610-869-2140. You will be given a prompt where you can just select A, B, C, D, E, or F, an area that you would like to serve in, and look for every single person who's listening to this to do that. And then we will follow up with you in the next week to help get you plugged in. And so if you just have any interest, the why, want to make it simple for people to connect to Jesus and one another. The how, the way that we do that is you and I hold hands, figuratively. I don't know if we're allowed to hold hands right now in this world. Hold hands together and participate in equipping the saints for the work of ministry. So we got lots of work to do. I need you to jump in and serve. So text the word SERVE, 610-869-2140. Or if you don't want to do that, just click the little connect card option in the caption and you can fill out the form online. And I promise you in the next week, we will follow up with you and it will be a lot of fun. So September 13th, that's not this weekend, but next weekend, we are going back indoors. Stay tuned next week to all of our communication channels. If right now you are not getting our communication, you can also just text us, 610-869-2140. Just say, hey, I'd like to get the newsletter. Here's my email, whatever that is. You can do that, or you can just go online and email info@clcfamily.church. We want to keep you informed. Want you to know. Stay tuned next week for lots more information about how we're going to engage indoors and hear about some great ways we're going to build bridges into our community. I love you guys. Can't wait to see you. Cannot wait to see your real faces in person again. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe. And please, please, please let us know how we can help you, serve you, care for you. You can email us. You can call us. You can text us. We're available to you. Our staff has a deep desire to connect with you and serve you in this time. So thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.